It's the biggest day of college football in the offseason to discuss which players are the biggest sleepers and which are the biggest risks. We welcome in our analyst, Anthony Herron, and from Fox Sports Next, the national recruiting analyst, Allen Trieu. Allen, why don't we start off with you and give us your guys that are flying under the radar here on signing day.
Well, three guys headed off to the Big Ten. First, Iowa came in, stole a Ball State recruit at the end, Desmond King, a cornerback from East English Village Prep. 24 interceptions in his career, ball hawk. I think he fits into what Iowa does scheme-wise. Keith Watkins is a running back going to Northwestern from Cincinnati Moeller. Played at a great program, played against great competition in high school, could be a running back or a corner at the next level. And then Darren Lee, a safety going to Ohio State, 6'2", 205 pounds, runs a 4.4, has played quarterback, returned kicks, done everything all over the field. We're the only ranking service that has him as a 4-star. I think Darren's going to give us the last laugh on this one.
All right, let's get back to Watkins and Northwestern. The Cats class ranked in the top half of the Big Ten, which is amazing considering Pat Fitzgerald has less to work with in Evanston. And is there a better evaluator of talent than Pat Fitzgerald?
I do think that Fitzgerald is an amazing evaluator of talent, but I don't believe that that's really where his magic has come from in Evanston. I believe it's once he gets maybe an average talent or a slightly above average talent there within the Northwestern program, it's how he's able to mold that talent to fit his image. He was a very tough guy, very meticulous preparation type of linebacker, and so for him, once he gets them within that program, I think that's where Pat Fitzgerald is really able to mold someone into a great player who maybe didn't have that level of talent.
Alan, your thoughts on Pat Fitzgerald? What do recruits tell you about his ability to recruit?
Well, I think he's a very personable guy, and that's how once he's gotten recruits on campus, he obviously has a track record of success both as a player and a coach. And on the evaluation side, I think they've done a great job of being able to identify guys that are not only great players, but guys who fit their system and have the academic profile you need to make it at a school like Northwestern.
All right, Ant, this is the portion of the segment that I think fans don't want to talk about, but there are some risky guys out there in this class of 2013. Who might those be?
One guy that really jumps out to me is defensive tackle Ashawn Robinson. He's a guy who, when you look at him on film, he was a productive defensive tackle in high school, and I think he's got a chance to be a productive defensive tackle in college. But where his greatness really lies, I think, is going to be on the offensive side of the football. I was far more impressed with his film as an offensive lineman, as a guard, occasionally as a tackle, and I think projecting long term, he's a guy with the size and with the athletic ability to be an amazing specimen on the offensive side of the football. So I think looking at him as a D tackle, I don't see him projecting there long term. Now moving to the running back position, Derrick Henry broke the national record for all time in high school football for career rushing yardage, but he's 6'3", 240 pounds. He's not a guy really shifty in and out of his breaks. So at that size, I think, again, a guy who's out of position right now, but he wants to stay at tailback, guys. And so I don't see Derrick Henry really having the opportunity to mature into the type of prospect that he's rated at right now from that position. And then Mackenzie Alexander, a corner, he teetered back and forth between a couple of schools. I don't see him, though, as a guy who can really cover man-to-man at the collegiate level. He's very physical. I think maybe there would be a chance of projecting him at safety, but he's a bit undersized for that position. So he's got to be in a really good scheme for him, playing some off-man, playing some zone. I don't see him as a guy, though, who can really play man-to-man coverage in certain conferences.
So how about Nick Saban? Here's a guy that preaches doing things the right way. A couple of risky recruits, as we define them, on his list. Is this something that we're accustomed to seeing in terms of recruiting for Nick Saban, or something new?
He's certainly taken risks on a number of guys, but it's risky within his very conservative scheme. And so the fact that Nick Saban doesn't get very exotic on the offensive side of the football, and the risks he takes are really on the defensive side, looking for versatile types of talent, really dominant players up front, guys who are willing to play man-to-man and have no fear at the second and third levels of his defense. I think that's where the risks come in sometimes, and a guy who comes to mind is a player like Demetrius Underwood, who played for Saban back at Michigan State. Amazing talent, a little bit questionable off the field, but I think Nick Saban brings in the type of people, Allen, who tend to suit his program, and so schematically they don't end up having to take that many risks with them.
I agree with you there, too. And the other thing to remember is when you're bringing in 4- and 5-star recruits and entire classes of them, you're allowed to take some risks, because if they don't turn out, you have 12 other guys behind them that are supposed to turn out. So I think the fact that he's bringing in top talent year after year after year and a lot of depth of talent allows him to take some of these risks we're seeing him take.
What's the saying? Big risk, big reward.
Right.
Potentially things work out. All right, Alan and Ant, thanks very much for your insight on this. And continue to get the scoop on the recruiting front for more in-depth coverage, including our insider report on why Charlie Weis is dangerously imitating one of his biggest rivals on the recruiting trail. Check out the videos only on CampusInsiders.com.